Space, the final frontier. Well, okay, not really. All right, take two. Here in the Mitten State, welcome to Code 47, bringing you all things Star Trek, spanning the quadrants, the best thing since the neutral zone.
Hey, we're back on the Secret Friends Unite podcast network. This is Code 47, all things Star Trek, episode 161. I am Charlie Carden, Trek Lord of West Michigan, your humble servant, joined as always by the ailing, he's not always ailing, but he's ailing today, Peter Stein, who's been sick for a few days, but he's literally holding his throat together to be here on the show. That's called stage health, and I appreciate that. So, Peter, it's good to have you. I want to ask how you're doing, but I'm going to say it's good to have you. And then we're joined by, this was I believe this is the first guest that Peter has brought to the table, but it's an associate of his who produced the exceptional Starship Excelsior, which I need to listen to. I'm not going to lie to you. But I'm excited to do so. James Heaney. Heaney, damn it. All right, James.
You had a note.
I had a note, but my note at the end of it, I was like, why did I make that note? That note didn't help me do anything. Oh my gosh. Well, welcome to the show. It's awesome to have you.
I'm so glad to be here. I mean, I know I'm following in much larger footsteps than my own.
Oh my goodness.
You've been quite successful lately.
Oh my God. Well, we're doing our best. We certainly are. Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit before we jump into the other stuff we got going on today. How did you become a Star Trek fan?
Oh, that's really easy. That's really short. I came out of the womb a Star Trek fan.
Same.
My first episode was Samaritan Snare. My parents watched regularly. My father was watching Next Gen 4 times a week, and I watched the original series with him every morning at 6 a.m. in syndication. By the time I was conscious, one of my first memories is Season 7 of Next Generation. The episode starts on Red Alert, and it was Eye of the Beholder, a terrible episode, but I thought it was so cool that the show started at Red Alert. It stuck with me for the rest of my life.
Yes.
So,
cool.
There you go.
Good deal. And we'll get you to talk a little bit as we're wrapping up the show about Starship Excelsior, because I look forward to hearing about that.
Fantastic.
Couple of different things, regular housekeeping, and then we have something new. As always, we'd love to pay homage to the wonderful people on our Secret Friends Unite Patreon over at patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. You get exclusive shows like The Facts of Geek Life, where Peter and I have been talking about Ron Moore's Battlestar Galactica for the longest time. But that's an exclusive program that you only find over there. All of our shows drop early over there on Patreon, and we have an exclusive Discord channel for our Patreons as well. Doing this, it couldn't be any easier. You sign up, your first week is free. Your first month is half off, which is $1 US. And then you stay on board for as little as $2 a month. So you're losing all this money when you don't subscribe to the Secret Friends Unite Patreon. I feel bad for you, but it's easy to fix if you go to patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. And then secondly, and this is new, I'm excited about this, we are brought to you in part by Argo's Bookstore here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where Peter and I live. I have been a customer at Argo's since 1986, when I was 10 years old. It's where I got my comics. They're the oldest comic shop in Grand Rapids' oldest independent bookstore. They've been around since 1975, just celebrated their 50th anniversary. Roger and Crystal have been running things since 2022 and have made a lot of great changes, organizing stuff, bringing in new collections, and all kinds of things of that nature. You can actually receive 10% off by becoming part of the Argonauts Club by having a comic book pull of 5 or more monthly titles. They're also always buying collections of comics, books, etc. You're going to find them on Google, Facebook, or Instagram, or if you're a telephone person, which is weird to me, but if that's what you got to do, 616-454-0111, and tell them you heard about their shop right here on Secret Friends Unite or Code 47. Good folks, we'd love to have you swing down there. All right. We've got some news. We don't always have a news story, but something news-related broke. I don't know if I can make Peter talk here, but Peter, I know you were excited about this because you pointed it out to me. But Paramount, which is recently the ownership changes, Skydance, yada, 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 has kind of missed their window to do a 60th anniversary movie. We knew it was coming. We also know that the Kelvin universe has come to a close. We talked about that, I think, last time. But now it looks like Paramount says they found a fresh idea for a new Star Trek film helmed by the gents Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly, who is somebody whose work I really appreciate because it was a great show. And James, you'll probably know this. Peter, it'll probably go over your head. You remember the short-lived network show Freaks and Geeks back in the year 1999?
I vaguely remember it.
Vaguely. He was the little brother who was kind of the main character, grew up to be John Francis
adorable.
Daly, the guy that you see in this photograph. But these guys wrote the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which we got in the last few years, which I enjoyed. Peter enjoyed it very much. And they gave us Spider-Man Homecoming, the first of the Tom Holland Spider-Man films, which I adore and which was a big favorite of my younger son. So this is great news, right? I mean, we're moving in a new direction. But the question is, where do we think this is going? I don't know, James. What do you think?
I don't know. I have so little faith right now in any institution, but Paramount especially. But if you were going to announce two people to write a new take on Star Trek, I guess I couldn't ask for better than the guys who gave us Homecoming and the D&D movie, both of which took movies that I thought were unfilmable and unmakeable. I did not think you could do another Spider-Man after Amazing Spider-Man, and I just thought D&D was impossible. And they made both really good. Homecoming was the last great Spider-Man movie, I think, and D&D was great fun. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I'm hopeful. I don't know. Are they going to try and do another origin story? Because we don't need that.
God, I absolutely hope not. And it's funny you should mention that because I think one of the things that really made Homecoming stand out as a Spider-Man film is exactly what you're alluding to. We didn't say, it's like Batman or Superman. People are born out of the womb, as you had mentioned for your Star Trek fandom, knowing the origin of Superman, knowing the origin of Batman or Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Because it's been just really well-trodden ground. You know what I mean? So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's pick up a story that doesn't say, this is how everything started with these characters, or, new characters? Could they do new characters?
Allegedly, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So little piece of news that I read, and I can't source it because I don't remember where I saw it.
Gotcha.
But allegedly, they are going to be doing a new thing that has nothing to do with pre-existing stuff in the same sense. So I don't think we're getting another origin story.
Thank God.
We're probably going to be getting something that's likely post Nemesis, post Picard. But again, don't know. It kind of depends. But the way that like a lot of the zeitgeist is shifting to be wanting 25th century content, I think that's probably what we're going to see.
I think that's great because, I mean, I have griped to no end, and it's always been a prevalent notion on this show, both in a lot of ways with myself, but certainly with Todd Axtra, who was my founding partner. Prequels are an inherently flawed way to tell a story because if whatever it is that you want to tell a story about was so important, you would have already told it or you would have already known about it. So, again, that's painting with a very broad stroke, but prequels are a real struggle. James, I don't know. Where do you stand with prequels? Are you with me here? Am I talking out of two sides?
I mean, we're just about to talk about Star Trek Con, right?
Right? That's true.
Yes, prequels are not always wrong, but they do limit you in ways that fresh stories don't. And Star Trek, especially, which has always been about going forward, it's been bizarre. Since 2001, we haven't moved forward, really, except briefly with Picard, and then of course with Discovery. Discovery in its third season was like, no, let's try to do some new stuff, and I honor them for that. Whether or not you think it succeeded, it's like, great, you tried.
That was, to me, literally the best thing about the series. So Peter and I are famously not big fans of Discovery, but the best work that they did, it definitely has a fan base. It just doesn't happen to be apparently around the voices on this podcast this week. But yeah, their biggest achievement was to push the story forward, and now they're having Starfleet Academy, which we're going to get in a couple of months here, and we'll see if they can actually take kind of what you suggest. So, yeah, there has to be a way to get out of the mire. As much as I kind of sort of enjoy parts of Strange New Worlds, it's also, it's got one hand, sometimes both hands, sometimes a leg tied behind its back trying to tell stories and reinventing things that don't need to be reinvented. So I'm excited about this. I mean, any movie that is, if they've just been hired, they're probably going to write something, and maybe 6 months from now they might be ready to actually start production. So my vibe tells me that this will be a film maybe in 2028. What do you think? Maybe.
I don't think it'll ever come out. That's my personal bet.
This is going to turn into a Star Wars situation.
Well, we've had so many. How many times do we hear about Star Trek 4? with Kurtzman and Orsi.
11 billion. That's the
it
number.
feels like it. So I just it might, but so many things in Hollywood don't happen.
Yeah.
They sound great and then they die. So maybe it'll come, maybe it won't. If it does, I will see it and I'll look forward to it. And if it doesn't, I will accept it as, I don't know, the pennant, whatever penance Star Trek fandom is doing right now for whatever we did.
A certain je ne sais quoi, or the I don't know what. Well, good. Well, obviously, as this develops, we will continue to talk about it. But let's talk about something new. We have some, as James had alluded to, we have some in-between content, but it is, and James, you have done an audio drama for Star Trek. But this is, and tell me if I'm mistaken, is this the first ever officially licensed / canonical, whatever it is, Star Trek audio drama? Because that was the vibe I got.
Yeah, there was an audio thing for Picard with Seven, but it ended up, I think, being more of an audio book than an audio drama, which was originally talked about being a drama, but it didn't really pan out that way.
Yeah, I listened to it, and then they turned around and turned it into a book, which I got the book from Simon Schuster's to review it. But right. But this is thing. Yeah, this was a weekly pod. Yeah, it was a weekly pod.
Yeah, it's big.
So scripted audio drama focusing on the titular Khan Noonien Singh and set between Space Seed and the Wrath of Khan. Produced by Secret Hideout and the wonderful folks at Roddenberry. I say that because Rod Roddenberry is a friend of the show. We've had him on the program. And produced by Alex Kurtzman, who you'd mentioned, Kristen Bayer, who is a longtime writer going back to the Voyager days, novel days, Rod Roddenberry, and David Mack, who was a guest on this show not that long ago. We talked to him about this, and this got mentioned. Based around a story by Nicholas Meyer, who was our first big get as an interview and just an absolutely awesome guy. Main cast, Naveen Andrews, best known to me from Lost, the ABC series from the early aughts. He starred as Khan. Ren Schmidt, who is in the awesome Ron Moore. Ron, I'm saying your name. I'm trying to manifest your name so you'll get in touch with us. But she's on the awesome For All Mankind. She's the main character on there. She is Marla McGivers. George Takei reprising his role as Captain Sulu. And Tim Russ, we'll talk about him a little bit more in a minute, as Ensign Tuvok, setting the scene. The interstitials in this are set... I kind of did the math on it. It's right around 3 or 4 years after Star Trek V. So it's kind of during that first leg of Sulu's mission, if I'm not mistaken. Now, James, you're the real expert on the Excelsior.
Based on what I was listening to, it sounded like it took place like 4 or 5 years after Generations, the first part.
Oh, okay.
I think that's right, because they talked about the death of Kirk a couple times. So we're looking
they did.
Yeah, in that very first episode, they mentioned that Kirk had died.
It crosses, but that in itself crosses over with the fact that Tuvok said he left Starfleet at that time. So I don't know. More research might be indicated. Let's do it. So James, I'm going to kick it over to you. Talk to me. Walk me through it. You don't have to summarize the plot, but tell me what you thought about what you heard.
Well, I thought it was a terrific show. Which really was very nice. I went in with not especially high expectations. As I said, I have taken the stance of let's just have low expectations of things, and then if they're good, they're good. And this one really blew my socks off, frankly. It was some of the most fun I've had in Star Trek, certainly since Prodigy. And maybe since longer than that. It was also not a story I thought we needed. As we were talking, I was like, well, why the hell do we need to hear? We know what happened. I already read Terrain in Hell by Greg Cox, published 30 years ago or whatever it was. And
also a guest on the show once upon a time.
He was great. That was a great book. That was a great series. And we know what it was like. Khan was stuck on this planet and it sucked. So why do we need to hear this story? But I really kind of fell in love with what they were doing over time. I never liked Marla McGivers particularly much in the show, in Space Seed.
Not at all.
She seemed like a really thin character to me. And I liked how they took her here and they honored that. They didn't say, oh, Marla McGivers is now this cool, badass action hero or something like that.
Yeah,
she's still the same woman.
Hamilton all of a sudden, right?
But they deepened her. And they made it like, I can make this make sense. This cool person is also the person in Space Seed. And then, of course, Khan himself also had that dichotomy where in Space Seed, he's this kind of noble warrior hero man. I mean, obviously he's evil, but also Kirk admires him, and you see why. Whereas by the time he gets to Star Trek II, he's this nut job, and you're like, well, how does this? And I can feel that now. I can see how it happens. He's really hard done by in this series, but also he's got some of it's his own fault. And I just fell in love with watching Khan himself make these choices. And some of them were good and some of them were bad, but I was always on the edge of my seat thinking, what is Naveen Andrews going to do next? And I was constantly surprised. Some of those betrayals near the end, I was like, what?
Yeah, I know. Holy crap. I did forget to mention this is available wherever podcasts are found. So you can find it on your Apple, your Spotify. I listen to it on Apple. I listen to our shows on Apple. But it's free with ads, of course. But the beauty of all ads is that there's a little skip button on the front of my iPad that I go skip, 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 skip. No ads. It's great. Each segment is right around 30 minutes. So 30 minutes. And there are 9 episodes. Don't make me do the math. 9 times 30. But yes, it's long. The framing sequence around it does happen within a time period that the three of us are apparently debating. Because I thought that if it was after Generations that Tuvok was long gone, but who knows? This has been written into Memory Alpha, or at least it was at the beginning, as being canonical. So I guess my big question is, how do we feel about that? Do you, in your heart, feel this is canon? Does it fit?
I just talked a lot. Does anyone else want to talk?
I don't know. I guess
I don't want to make Peter talk. All right, I'm gonna talk. I have opinions.
Okay.
I always have opinions. This is my gift.
That's what podcasts are about.
Canon, I think, it means 2 things. It means, 1, we're going to put this in Memory Alpha. Or, alternately, it means this is the things writers in the future will actually honor. And it's the first one because Memory Alpha is just going to write down everything these days. Memory Alpha is eager to declare everything canon and put it in Memory Alpha. And the studio thinks that it makes more money if it says that something is canon because people will say it matters. And so they're going to listen to it. And so they're going to say, yes, Memory Alpha, put it on. But the second thing is different. It's, are future writers going to be bound by this? Are they going to put aside a story because this story said something? And the answer to that, I think, is clearly no.
Right.
They're just not going to do it. I mean, it's like the idea of calling Lower Decks canon, which I know they do. And it's lovely. But it's like no one ever is going to be bound by anything Lower Decks says about any canon fact. They're just going to ignore it whenever it comes up. That's ridiculous. But it's fun. Like it's still a good product, whether or not it is actually canon or just pretend canon.
Yeah.
Star Wars books.
Oh, well, let's do a whole different program on that. Peter, God willing, please give us some input. And if you get to a point that you're choking, just make the international sign for choking, and I'll take over.
I think that at least for the time being, it's going to stay canon.
Right.
Long term, I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that there was enough character development and stuff that was actually done well for everybody that I think that it at least has earned the honor of being in the canon instead of, I want to be with the big boys. And then it's like, no, you don't really belong here.
No, there you go, little buddy. It's okay.
So I think that this one will stick around for a little while. I think that it's earned it. And I do think that at least it would be a good, and here I show my bias, I think it would be a good precedent to allow Star Trek to not just be what's on screen.
Right.
Because there's a lot of different stories that can be told that, allow for theater of the mind.
Like, the way that the novels and the comics have always gotten the cold shoulder. And as James was talking about the EU and Star Wars, we didn't even talk about that. It's a debate that the fires will burn until the end of time. But
I mean, there are some Star Trek things that are not in visual media. Like I think the novel, Mosaic about
Mosaic and Pathways, written by Jerry Taylor.
I believe that those are considered canon. They never have appeared on screen, so it's not without precedent. So it could.
Well, it's low stakes to say that this can stay canon because where else is this going to get dug into? You know what I mean? It's this niche little piece.
Yep.
There's not a lot else to be done with it, because now it's a period of time that's been explored.
Yeah,
And
the only thing that it disrupts is the one canon event I had in my Ensign Ricky in my RPG, where he was the cause of City Alpha 6 blowing up. That was it.
And again, I don't think we're going to go crazy spoilers on this, but we're not going to back off of it. This has been wrapped up for a couple of weeks now, I think, at this point. I also enjoyed it greatly. The one really unavoidable part was the performance of George Takei. I mean, he's in his 80s, and his voice sounds very grumbly. Where Tim Russ, I think, sounds like it's 1996, and at the point that we met Ensign Tuvok in the episode Flashback. But yeah, Takei just sounds really rough, and I feel badly about that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there was a lot that they could have kind of done about that. But yeah, that was kind of one of my kind of yanked me out of it. I didn't love it too much. I watched, it was funny, James, you were talking about Space Seed, and then we talked about the Wrath of Khan. I watched both of those this morning because I had some time.
Oh, nice.
And you're absolutely right. Marla is like, Jesus Christ, knock it off.
Yeah.
Find somewhere to find some Starfleet, ball somewhere to stand up to this guy. But Khan is like, man, he's, even Bone says, well, he's very charismatic and he's charming, and you can tell that blah, blah, and he's right. He really is. And won her over, but she was such an easy mark. And I'm like, it's hard to believe after that they could find something interesting to do with her, but they really did. And you brought in Ren, is it Schmidt or Smith? Now I navigated away from it. Her name is
incapable of thinking of anything other than Margot Madison.
Yeah, exactly. Margot Madison. Exactly. Yeah, Margot Madison from For All Mankind. But she really nailed it. She also, in episode 5, I wrote, "Thank you, Marla, for giving me a reason to sing the theme from Xanadu," which is a bad movie that my wife and I covered on our Bad Movie podcast. I do like, a big chunk of the back end of this has to do with an alien race that crashes on the planet. Didn't see that coming.
No.
Thought that was a great ad. I think it's great that the main alien's name was Delmonda, which the only thing it made me think of was how in Endgame, when Tony Stark is having a conversation with his dad in the past, he says, well, if it's a boy, my wife is thinking El Mondo as a name. So that's all I thought of when I
now I only think of Delmond as having a goatee. Great.
Oh.
Thanks.
Looking like very, very, very finely put. He had a hippie beard. Was it more Mungo? What was it more? It was more Mungo Jerry, or I can't remember what the other one was. But and yeah, El Mondo unfortunately was the guy that had the whoopsie and blew up City Alpha 6. Sorry, it happens.
This, children, is why you don't drop off interspatial drive in a gravity well.
I know. People should know these kind of things. But yeah, this is definitely worth a listen. I was another line from Family Guy that we were talking about, Ensign Ricky, the last horse to cross the finish line. I didn't get the twist at the end. I don't know. Did you guys figure it out? And don't say what it is. Let's leave that mystery for the listener. But the twist at the end with the reveal.
Particular character?
The one in the frame story? Yeah. I mean, I thought at that point they were just trying to make the frame story matter in some way.
Yeah. But did you see it coming?
I did see it coming.
Ah, damn it!
I had suspicions. I didn't put my finger on that specifically because because of things that were said in the film. I didn't assume what happened.
Right. Right.
So
because you would think that Khan would say something in the movie. If that had been the case. Yeah.
That being based what you said, by the time of the film, Khan was batshit crazy. He probably couldn't. He couldn't put
there is that. I just thought that.
Yeah.
There were a couple incidents with two people being no longer there, and so I thought that kind of nixed.
Right.
So I was trying to put it together because I was like, there is definitely an agenda here.
Yeah.
But because of my preconception from 2, I was like, it could be, but that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
I really got very suspicious. What was it, midway through the series when the doctor said she got the tapes from Delmonda? I was like, crap, Delmonda got off? Who else got off?
Yeah, right. El Mondo got off. It's Tony Stark. Tony Stark got off. Tony Stark got off.
When they said that, it was like...
Never would.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that might have been it might have been closer to the end and closer to the
maybe so.
But anyway, like I said, I would love to keep it quasi-ish spoiler free, so we don't really want to drill down because I really do want people to listen. But based on we like to do ratings on this show, so out of 10. James, where would you land this show out of 10 for you?
Oh well, what's the scale? Like
1 to 10.
That's fair.
Isn't that what I said? Did I not
yeah,
say that?
you did.
I didn't say that. I apologize.
It wasn't life-changing for me, so I won't give it a 10. That is reserved for DS9 and Next Gen.
Yeah, oh, yes. Yes.
But let's say, it's a lot more fun than any of the Star Trek novels I've read in a number of years.
I agree.
And it's better than a couple of the television shows I've seen in recent years. I'm going to give it an 8.
Also true.
I'm going to put it at an 8.
That's about where I was thinking.
That's exactly what I did. And I think and again, I'm reading off my notes, but you can't see me because we're on audio. But I loved, and kind of to Peter's point, I like a story that you can fit into canon without being disruptive because we've removed the visual elements looking at you, Star Trek Discovery. You know what I mean? A Starfleet ship is now blank, and then it turns into cardboard sets for TOS. No. It's so I like that because it's audio, it's theater of the mind. Peter made a great point. You're not messing with set dressing, you're not messing with costumes. And
they still use the sound effects from TOS.
Yeah, you're right. The phaser, the communicator, tricorder.
And not
the
motion picture because they didn't have them.
Yeah,
that's the story.
And you're right. They do jump back in the later, when you hear the transporter later on, it's the motion picture transporter noise, which is different. Which I like very much.
Yeah, they struggled. They really did struggle. And I need to say good things about the audio production because I'm an audio guy, and Fred Greenall is from my audio community. He's their director. He did a fantastic job. He had that warthog fight in the second episode. It is unbelievably difficult to project into your mind an image of a fight with dialogue going on, and for you to understand the action in that fight that isn't actually happening, with no visual cues, and especially to do it quickly. The great sin of audio drama is that in order to help the listener understand what's going on, we tend to slow things down. But they were able to keep the action sequences moving fast, and yet you still knew what was going on. I never had any doubt who was fighting the Warthog at any given second in the Warthog fight, and that was consistent throughout the series. That was very good stuff. But it was also very clear, to me at least, that they got all of their canon sound effects the same place. All canon Star Trek gets their canon sound effects right now, which is trekcore.com. And I know that because I acquired, when we started Excelsior, the Darker Projects guy, Chris Snyder, gave us a library of sound effects to get started. He'd ripped a lot of stuff. He'd made some stuff of his own. And this was all sort of like, it's either canon or it sounds very much like canon. And so you can use it in your audio drama. It was a great gift to us. It got Excelsior off the ground in many ways back in 2007. And then a few years later, I said to Trek, I was talking to the Trek Core guys. I said, hey, I've got this whole library of sound effects. Would you like them? And they said, yes. So they took them. And I realized what was going on when I started hearing sound effects that I had made or that Chris had made on Star Trek. On produced Star Trek.
Hello.
So I was like, what happened to the Paramount Sound Library? Why don't they have the original recordings? And I know no one else is thinking this or knowing this, but
somebody spilled coffee on them. Sorry.
Somebody lost them. And I know that library did not have very many rips from the classic films era, and you can hear that in this series because sometimes in the classic films, the frame story, in 2293, they're using sound effects from the 2260s, and I'm going, But of course, I'm the only person, maybe Peter also. We're the only people in the world.
the three amigos over here. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. Because, it was every regular sound effect pretty much changed between the classic series and the TOS films, which makes sense. It makes sense to us because time gone past. So, I didn't catch a big 2260s drop in the 90s. So you're probably sitting 93 as well. Okay, good. Because that's when Star Trek 6 took place. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm doing my memory out.
That lines up nicely.
Gotcha. Cool. All right, Peter. How about you? I was an 8 out of 10 as well, and I was very happy.
I was contemplating saying about an 8 there too.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right, that's what Peter has to add while he grumbles through. And like I said, Peter is currently exuding what we call in the business stage health. He's holding it together so that he because he understands the assignment's getting the job done. I appreciate that.
We're good.
All right, so finally, I have 2 comments. I'm gonna save the big one for last. It's not that exciting, but it excited me. Schloss Ritter, who is a regular over on our SFU Discord and one of our patrons, said, I got so burned out on the replays of Star Trek II on TV in the 80s that it became my least favorite series for for decades after, so I wasn't enthusiastic about the audio series, but it turned out that I enjoyed it quite as well. So there you go. Nice flip. And then our second comment, theater of the mind, imagine a drum roll. There you go. We had Tim Russ as one of our interviews back in the summertime in 2025 when we were recording this. And I dropped him an email earlier this week letting him know how much I enjoyed it. And he emailed me back, I'm glad you liked it a second time. They did a great job putting it together. Not super insightful, but it is from Tim Russ. I'm also going to send him a copy of this recording, which hopefully he will listen to. We'll keep our
let's say nice things about Tim Russ in the frame story then.
He's, like I said, yeah, absolutely. He did a lot of great performances bouncing off, and I was impressed. He made me he really kind of held it together for me. Picturing him as Tuvok, it felt like, the flashback sequence from the episode Flashback. That I really felt that it was. They didn't include the Janice Rand character in this, but I guess that would have been tough since that
would have been really hard.
Yeah, they would have had to recast, and it would have. I don't think there was enough for a fourth character to do in the framing sequence that would have made any sense.
I didn't think the frame story was necessary at all. I think they just had it because they wanted to get Tim Russ and George Takei on there, so we'd have something to watch. People would come and see those actors, but having done that, I thought Tim did a great job in that segment, and he really did, like you said, he exuded that standoffishness that he had in Flashback, and I was like, good for him for remembering to bring that back. He was not happy with Starfleet in the 2290s,
right? Exactly,
and he does not quite fit in with Sulu. I thought that was very effective. He did great.
Right. Good deal. All right, Peter, I won't force you to say much before we move on, but any final thoughts?
I thought that this was a great show. It has a lot of good character development, and I hope that it does well enough that they will get good writers to make another audio series. Wink.
Wink. All right, super quick. If you were to pick a story or a time era that you'd love to see one of these from, James.
Beginning of the Bajoran occupation.
Oh, that would be fabulous. Peter.
I know. I just said I don't do prequels, but that would be so good.
Yeah. Peter.
The Fate of the Enterprise B.
Oh, my. I would like to see the Fate of the Enterprise E.
Yeah.
Yeah. See what we're crashing
into.
Not my
fault.
Captain Worf,
not my fault.
The audio drama.
Exactly. Well, cool. Well, that wraps us up on Star Trek Con. Remember, that is available on podcast catchers absolutely everywhere. Listen to it. Drop us a line at secretfriendsunite@gmail.com or at any of our socials. Let us know what you thought. Let us know what you thought about this, and we'll be happy to come back and mention your comments in a future episode. All right. Well, the time has come. And this is a big deal. We've been making this show. I started with a guy besides Peter, but Peter is really the best co-host that I've ever had, and he's the soul of the show. He's been with me for 4 of the 5 years that I've been making it. But the goal of the show when I started it was to touch every single episode of Star Trek and talk about it, whether it be in depth or in short or in an incredibly long format. And with this segment 2 that we're going to deliver, we have reached the end of that road. We will have now talked about every single episode of Star Trek. In every movie, now an audio drama, animated segment. It's all been done. And James, you're here for it.
Wow. I didn't realize it was momentous like this. I thought you were going on to Enterprise. You already did Enterprise?
Yeah. We recorded them. We did it by season number. So I did all season 1s, all season 2s, all season. Yeah. So
that's just big then.
Yeah. So this is a big deal. So you're here for a big deal. But with all this buildup, this is the 4th and final part of the 7th season of Star Trek Voyager. My goodness. Peter, I'm going to do you a favor. I will read all the recaps this time. Usually we take turns. But we've got a couple of episodes talked about, but I feel like the bulk of what we're going to be talking about will probably be the finale. But I'll get us rolling. Episode 21 of season 7 is Friendship 1. Mike Vihar doing the directing from a script and screenplay from Michael Taylor and Brian Fuller from April of 2001. The crew is sent on its first mission by Starfleet in nearly 7 years to find a lost probe sent by Earth in the 21st century that has ended up in the Delta Quadrant and giving us the tropiest of tropey tropes, bringing back a character we've not seen sans flashback in 7 seasons. Poor Lieutenant Joe Carey. We didn't hardly know you at all. What was he doing for 7 years? Like he was like,
Waste
I didn't get the
reclamation,
chief engineer job, so I'm just going to be scrubbing conduits for 7 years. Was he the assistant chief, but the assistant chief had to sit in his office or something? I was like, come on. It was the end of the show. They could have killed off any of them. You know what I mean?
Apparently they were thinking about it.
Yeah.
I heard they were looking at killing Tal Sellies or Vorik or Samantha Wildman.
Samantha Wildman was dead anyway. You never saw her after season. What was it, season 5? When she and Neelix were on the away mission and you thought they were going to be dead. So,
yeah.
So Naomi was in the Flotter holodeck program, like trying to cope through his. You never saw her again. Even in the scene later in this segment where you see her and Neelix together, she's reading before she goes to bed. And her mom's not. They're like, where the hell is she?
She is allegedly somewhere on the ship, but
I was going to say...
She's probably hanging out with Joe Carey.
Oh, God. No, the ghost of Joe Carey. Or the Lonely Ensigns Club. Ooh, that could be a name for the episode. Lonely Ensigns Club. Yeah, the two of them. But anyway, yeah, so how do we enjoy this episode? James, what were your thoughts?
I always thought this was a good episode. It had good bones, and that they made a terrible mistake in killing Joe Carey, because that's all anyone ever talks about or thinks about. It's all I ever think about or talk about. It's like, why'd you bring this man back to kill him? But if you just cut that out, it's fine bones. But I guess it's the last 6 episodes. They're trying to raise the stakes. It's sweeps. Remember sweeps when we had ratings sweeps months?
Oh, God.
Good times.
I do remember sweeps. Yeah. Oh, the throw. I also grew up in television. My mom was a sales rep at a local TV station.
That's
so I know from sweeps. I know. It's right. She worked at what was a Fox station here in our local market. So Fox was always on in my house. So every Fox show from 1987 to 1994, I had to watch because it was on. And that was when I graduated from high school. It was on. But yeah, it was. You're right. It gave you the kind of the raising the stakes, but it got you involved with the buddy cop trope, which I always joke about. Like somebody gets a great things are great in my life, and today's gonna be a great day, or I'm one day from retirement, and then they get killed. So it's just like, why not kill off, like you said, a recurring character like Tal Celeste or Wildman, who even though we hadn't seen her in like 2 seasons,
at least we knew her.
Yeah, Joe Carey, with the exception,
because we see him in the background on most episodes.
And Vorik had been a character since the 3rd season. Why not kill somebody that
I think.
What's that?
We see him in this one, and like a couple in this bunch. He's in them.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. But yeah, it's like that was a misnomer for me. It's a great story. I mean, it's a great Star Trek story.
It's very Star Trek.
Yeah, it's a great story. But yeah, it does get a serious demerit for very senselessly killing a character that, with the exception of seeing him. Remember that time travel episode where Seven kept going back to the same point in time to try to fix something?
Oh yeah,
she was on Voyager in dry dock. He was in that. That was his only appearance since season 1. Wow. And that was like in season 5 or 6. So it's like it's almost extremely pointless to bring him back to kill him.
Yeah, and they only put him in that episode to make the point that Seven's in the past. She's with Joe Carey, a person we haven't seen in 5 years.
Right, exactly. Because it's the past. Yeah, exactly.
Right. This has no stakes for us.
Yeah, it's like TNG going, look, here's Tasha Yar.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
At least she'd been a star. I mean, we'd seen her for 20 episodes.
Yeah, it's a regular cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that really that to me detracted from what I otherwise thought was a pretty good episode. So, Peter, I know we're trying to keep down your talking. Any thoughts?
This one was interesting. It did have to me it was kind of a pretty standard story of like, oh, we did a dumb, we sent things off into the universe, and dumb things happened because we didn't think about it, which is fine. I did, because I always comment on these things. I did find it kind of neat that Friendship 1 had the TOS style nacelles, and had kind of like when you saw the interior of the ship, kind of like the other episode that was where they were finding another ship stuck somewhere.
Oh, and it was Phil Morris was the guest star, Lieutenant Kelly. Yeah.
So where we have like the controls are almost Enterprise-esque. So even though we don't, so there's some continuity there, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Right.
So yes, I always comment on the ships. So there you go. Cool. There's me commenting on, I like the nacelle continuity. Yeah,
they just absolutely could have done better, because the big stakes raising moment was a fart in church. No offense intended.
Yeah.
But all right, well, cool. Let's move on. 22 is Natural Law. Terry Wendell handling directing a story by Ken Biller and James Caan. Khan. Teleplay by not Jimmy Khan, some other guy named James Khan, who also did the teleplay. This is from May of 01. While visiting the planet Lados, Seven and Chakotay crashed through an energy barrier. This is just the whole premise of this is really stupid. Sorry, I'm going to jump ahead. The two are stranded in jungle with primitive humanoids who take the pair in and care for Chakotay's injuries. To rejoin Voyager, he and Seven have to disable the energy barrier.
Don't even talk about the B plot with Paris.
Oh my god! Yeah, the B plot with Paris was much more watchable than the A story in this episode because
it's funny.
It's so dumb. Chakotay's like, we're being invited to a conference. Why? I'm always like, and that happens a couple of times with the doctor. He's like, I got invited to a blah blah symposium. I'm like,
well, who's heard of you? You don't have any.
You guys are passing through. Yeah, exactly. How does anybody know anything about you when you're traveling in a straight line away from everything? And every couple of times a season, you have a big jump forward. And yeah, so it's not. Look, they try to put normal like TNG or DS9 stuff like, I'm going to a conference on blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But Chakotay is like, well, I know we're going to a conference, but I'm flying you, which makes no sense because he's the first officer. Why is he flying Seven around in a shuttle?
Especially given how often he crashes them.
Exactly.
I just say, Janeway, take away his shuttle privileges.
This is like the third time he's crashed a shuttle?
I think so. And again, don't forget they have a literal shuttlecraft replicator where I guess you push a button, maybe 3D prints it, and then you fly away in it. But yeah, the framework of this to me makes absolutely no sense. It's a cool concept. Hey, there's a dome from aliens that got dropped on our planet centuries ago, or maybe millennia ago, and there's a race that within it that is an evolutionary throwback to where we are now, and blah blah blah, and we want to study them, but also it's a violation of the Prime Directive. So there's kind of those aspects of it, but the whole setup to it is stupid. There's no reason for them they crash onto it and lose another shuttle. It's just dumb.
I did find the
James,
special effect of the nacelle sitting on top of the barrier to be quite funny. I don't know why.
That was cool.
It just amused me of like, here's the nacelle sitting on top of the.
And it was funny when he crashed, the debris spread out and spelled Chakotay sucks. I don't know how they did that. That was. I think Seven did that somehow. Anyway, James, help me out. Anything redeeming here, or is it just me?
As a rule, I try to let episodes have their dumb MacGuffins because it's Star Trek, and we have to let things be stupid at the first 5 minutes. Sometimes, even if we wish otherwise. But the episode, it doesn't. It's so weird. Everything they did with Chakotay throughout the series, and then especially season 7. By which point, Robert Beltran is completely checked out and is angry at the show. And is not doing any of his work. And they're still like, no, we're going to give you stuff, Robert. And he's like, I don't even want this at this point. Every time I see anything with Chakotay and Seven in it, I think of there was an old headline on 5minute.net way back in the day. It was C7 destroys universe. And it was a brief story about how the universe had seen Chakotay Seven's relationship and said, you know what? It isn't worth continuing. We're going to collapse into a singularity now.
I am now giving up. I'm officially over. And we haven't even really gotten into the real ugliness of this because, yes, it was a couple episodes back that Seven was, I'm experimenting with my humanity on the holodeck, and the guy I chose is Chakotay.
Right? Like,
why?
Why?
I know people are going to be horny for whom they're horny for, but like,
yeah,
Chakotay?
Exactly. And then she's playing it, and she's still playing it super frosty here because, I don't want to upset my implant or whatever. Now, again, we're getting to the point where that's going to be turned around, but we're not there yet. But great framework, I would say.
Yep.
Terrible. Like it was like it felt like a Mad Libs. They were just throwing things at like, how about Chakotay fly Seven to blank because blank, 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 and it was, and Prime Directive, this thing and that thing. So I don't know, Peter, what about you?
Like I said, the B plot is more interesting to me because it's comedic. Because you have Paris. I need to retake driver's training. Wow, that's stupid. And then he fails it in the end anyway, which is great. And
thumbs up, Robbie.
There's the snide comments between him and the instructor, and it's fun. With the A plot, I tend to agree with everything else that's been said. I also kind of have like a opposition on principle to some of the premise, because it's got this kind of like, it was a thing at the time, and it kind of continues with like, there's the what's a nice way of putting this? Particular ancient cultures are so amazing, and they don't need to change ever, and they never will. And they're perfect and innocent. And
the noble savage trope.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid that term, but yes,
okay.
that.
Sure. All right.
So I just it seems weird to me that it's like, here's this culture that may be worth preserving, sure, but then it doesn't develop for 3,000 years. Like, that's just not generally how sentient beings work, where like we'll try to overcome something and there will be things that change.
Yeah.
But this culture has remained hunter-gatherers forever.
Yeah.
And that just seems odd to me. So I have no problem with like, oh, we want to see an indigenous style race that's doing whatever things so our characters can interact with it because it's interesting for visual reasons or cultural reasons or storytelling, or for whatever reason you have. But just the premise of like, they are so amazing and innocent that they haven't changed in thousands of years is just kind of silly.
Right.
Maybe that's picking nits, but it's one of the things that just kind of bothers me about the premise of this episode, aside from, everything else that's already been mentioned.
Right.
So
no reasonable setup. All right. Well, let's move on to an episode that I generally did that actually gave a character that we care about a decent ending. I thought this was good. Episode 23 is Homestead, directed by our very own LeVar Burton. Raph Green handling the writing. This is again from May of 01. Voyager encounters a Talaxian settlement, leaving Neelix with a difficult decision of whether to leave the crew. So this, being that this is the last block of episodes, to me, this does effectively use the, hey, every character deserves to have some kind of decent ending. And I think this was a great choice for him. I feel like it was, it was well done from the point of, I jump in, there's a problem to solve. This is my only chance to ever see my people who are now, 40,000 miles away. I'll never see another one. And in the end, he makes what's admittedly the very predictable decision to finally go and live with them. So, yeah, I was satisfied with it. I thought there was a decent amount of moments. Another great performance by Tim Russ. Tim, I know, I really hope you're listening. But Tuvok is a little Mr. Neelix, and then he shakes his little foot. There was a kind of vapor lock with First Contact Day in this, and versus the Star Day, because First Contact is supposed to be April 5th of every year, but this is near the end of a year, which would not be April on our calendar. So I don't know. Us real nitpickers and Stardate dweebs took issue with this. It's been written about for years. But beyond that, it does not spoil how I enjoy the story. James.
I don't have much to say about this. I guess I always thought it was very lucky that Neelix found his homeland 2 weeks before Voyager left the Delta Quadrant forever. But, obviously...
Life's all about timing.
You have to forgive that because it was obviously necessary for series dynamics. And it's, like you said, it's fun. It's nice to see Neelix get a good story and a good ending. I missed him. I know there's a lot of hatred for Neelix, but I grew up with Neelix. I first met Neelix when I was 6, and I thought he was the coolest. So I was always pleased to see Neelix getting serviced and Neelix getting happy endings. Just pleased my little baby heart.
We're going to skip over that you said he got service and happy endings. And you said it.
Sorry. Service by the writers. But
that's the filthy Irishman in me. You don't hear no. Oh, God, now we've killed Peter. Oh, my God, it's like Kenny on South Park. We've killed Peter.
He's falling over.
I'm falling and I can't get up. No, it's
Peter, what about you?
I liked this one. I did... As we've said, I kind of find it a little convenient that there's suddenly Talaxians all the way over here.
Right.
It's like,
and
how did you get here?
I'm drawing a blank, I assume, and I watched the episode recently, but this must have been a detailed miss. How did they get there? Do you remember?
They had like a flotilla of ships, like the Quarians, and they were fleeing their planet for like the war and stuff that gets mentioned in season 3.
The Hakonian guy. I think it was season 1.
The Metreon
Hakonians, the episode.
But it's that particular incident that they fled from, and so like they've been fleeing for a long time, and then eventually they find like, hey, there's an asteroid. Let's dig in.
Right.
So like it makes sense, but it's just kind of.
Yeah, it was. I swear it was more like the woman was like, "Well, we fled at the time the thing happened, which was obviously within the last couple of decades, and they must have flown through a wormhole or something." It's the only way to explain it, right? They must have flown through the world's most convenient wormhole that
either that or they just use a different trajectory on a triangle, and they got there sooner because
they got out their rhombus with the compass and the drew.
Because they were just like, fly in any direction that's not here, and Voyager was doing a different line to get somewhere.
It was that way with the Equinox. Because remember, the Equinox went in a different direction, and they ran into some ruthless killer gang that killed half the crew.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. So, yeah, ouch. So, I think it was a nice wrap up to Neelix.
Yeah.
There was kind of a nice moment where he got the honor guard on the way out, and you got to see a bunch of extras that you're like, oh, I know there's 150 people on the ship. We couldn't have seen them all. Here's all the rest of them. So there was, probably easily, 40 or 50 extras standing there. So they rolled all the mothball DS9 uniforms out of storage and put them on random people, and that was Neelix's honor guard. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
I think they did well. I don't necessarily feel that fondly about the penultimate episode, which is our next installment. Maybe you guys can convince me differently if you happen to have loved it. But episode 24 is Renaissance Man. Mike Vihar again stepping into the director's chair. A story by Andrew Shepard Price and Mark Gaberman. Not names I recognize, so maybe it's a slush script. Who knows? They were still doing those at this point. Teleplay by Phyllis Strong and Mike Sussman. So kind of cleaned up by the OG. For May of 01, the Doctor is forced to help aliens steal Voyager's warp core. That's a very brief description, but I mean that is really what
basically all that's going on.
Yeah, and it was just kind of Dudsville, and it seems weird for a penultimate episode. It's not really teeing up anything. It felt like an episode that could be absolutely anywhere. There were zero.
I do have to give it credit for one thing, though. This is a Doctor-centric episode that is not him complaining about being a hologram or complaining about not having rights after everyone is fighting for him for the last 5 episodes. So there is that.
That's a valid point. James, talk to me.
I was actually surprised to hear you say that. I was very fond of this episode.
Okay.
I mean, it is a very straightforward thing. The Doctor is going to disguise himself as a bunch of other people, and I just thought that was fun and games. You're correct. It is very low stakes for penultimate episode, but outside of next gen, outside of DS9, has Star Trek ever really teed up things in its penultimate episodes?
That's a very good
it just
point.
feels like we're just doing regular stuff, and then we're doing a finale, and it's going to be an episode.
Right.
What was TNG's Preemptive Strike? Which is good.
Right. Yeah.
It's a better episode than this. Preemptive Strike is great.
Well, and it at least set into some things in motion that were more important to the overall universe.
That's true.
And it did then later create a story, not only what we saw in Picard with Ro returning, but also her story non-canonically in both comics and books. The relaunch, which I read in the '90s or the early 2000s. So,
right.
But yeah, this. I don't know. Maybe my mind was too much locked into thinking, well, the show's almost over.
They'll do something.
Give us a story that wraps up a thread for somebody. But you're right that we're all spoiled after watching that last 9-10 episode arc of DS9, where it was this one long crunching story where all this epic stuff happened, and then gave us the single greatest finale that we'll ever have in Star Trek.
Yeah.
And you're more than welcome to debate me on that one, but I will be taking no further questions.
But yeah, I understand that the DS9 10-part finale didn't do that hot in the ratings overall, was my memory. So the studio just said, sorry, Voyager, you're doing episodes till your final, and we'll give you a 2-parter, and that's your treat.
So that's
we gave it to TNG as well, so that you get the same treatment.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, I heard Ira Stephen Bear speak. It was on the Star Trek Quiz a couple of years ago, where he said, they just let us do whatever we wanted because nobody was paying attention to us.
100%.
So we just did stuff, and it turned out great. But for the TNG Voyager crowd that liked seeing people on a ship flying around and stuff, we weren't for them, but we still managed to tell an incredible story in 7 years. So we won, and I couldn't agree with him more.
100%.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know why this kind of was like, I wanted something else out of it, but then again, I don't know. I'm like the petulant girlfriend. I don't know what I want, but I didn't want this. So that's on me.
If you're looking for something high stakes, this isn't it. If you're just looking for, this is a fun episode that could be from the middle of the season, it's pretty fun.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it was just like, okay, well, we're at the end of the road. I just kind of wanted something more.
Yeah. You just had Neelix have his wrap up, and you just had Chakotay 7 have their wrap up.
Oh God! If only. If only. Oh, but we're gonna get that real quick here.
The warp core eject was pretty cool, I thought. It did give us that. So
it was, but that was a recycled shot from Day of Honor.
Yeah,
because they did that in Day of Honor.
Enjoyable.
But it's cool. I don't know how many times you can eject a warp core before it breaks. It's like, I'm going to take the engine out of my car. No, I'm going to put it back in.
The only thing that threw me off just a little bit was when the Doctor was keeping the mobile emitter on his boot. Because when he switched back to himself, it was up on his sleeve again. So that was just
because it's the only part of him that's physical. So how did it move?
That was the one thing that was like, But outside of that, I thought it was kind of funny how he was like, he's keeping the comm badges in a little kit and
putting everyone in the freezer,
putting everyone in the cryostasis pods.
Right.
I did
definitely not super serial killer.
It was one of those things that was like, Doctor, my man, how did you think that Tuvok was not going to figure out that there's like 4 comm badges in one place? And it's all in sickbay, and you've been acting dodgy. Like,
God, it's like instead of the Doctor, he was Dexter. The Dr. Dexter.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's another potential name here. So, all right, any final thoughts before we take the law? And I already named the episode. No, not that Endgame. Before we get into Endgame. No, we're good.
I think we're good.
That's fun.
Let's do it. It says 2 parts, but really this aired as a 2-hour movie. Series finale is called Endgame, directed by, I heard this referred to by my friend John Champion on Mission Log this week, the closer, Alan Craker. He also directed the finale, I believe, definitely of DS9, but potentially of Enterprise as well. But he's the guy who wraps stuff up. This is a story done by Rick Berman, Ken Biller, and Brandon Braga. So you got all the big shots. Teleplay by Biller and Robert Doherty. May 23 of 2001. In a future. I can do my movie phone guy. In a future where it took Voyager 23 years to get home. And now Admiral Janeway devises a plan to alter history. As the crew enters a final showdown with the Borg, the 2 Janeways implement a risky plan to take out one of the 6 Borg transwarp hubs in the galaxy and simultaneously cross the transwarp threshold to get home, which it seems like the Borg could do any Tuesday of the week, show up at Earth and blow the shit out of it. But I digress. Let's get rolling, James. Okay, we for the entirety of the series, how did this finale work for you? What did you think?
All right, I'm 12 years old at this point. I'm a 12-year-old boy, and in the moment, I'm immensely entertained. I just want to put that out there. If their basic goal is impress a 12-year-old boy, by God, they succeeded. We've got old people. We got a future timeline. We've got 2 Janeways working together. We got the transphasic chronoton torpedo blowing up a whole Borg cube. The ablative armor sound effect shot stuck with me forever. Incredible stuff. And it's like they killed the Borg. Holy God, what is going on? So I was very impressed. There's everything that has been said about Endgame has been said elsewhere, and there are a lot of problems with it. But at a fundamental level, it's entertaining. It's no all good things. They're trying to be all good things without being all good things, and I honor them for it. But as a whole wrap up for the whole series, it does leave a lot to be desired. I remember they had been leaking around the end of season 6 that they might be getting home at the end of season 6, and then they have a whole season of home. And I was like, that'd be a really interesting idea. What would that be like? And I did, when they ended the show, I went, no, that can't be the end. We never even get to see them step on Earth. We never get to see them see any of the people that they missed. I wanted to see Harry kiss Libby because that's the kind of person I am.
Bring her back. Libby, quick sidebar about Libby.
Yeah.
And the actress's name, who's absolutely escaping me at the moment, was the girl in the 1983 music video for Bon Jovi's Runaway. It's Libby.
Fascinating.
I know, right? Why can't her name is Jennifer. Damn it. Okay. Keep talking. I'm going to look it up. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem for me.
I don't know. What did you think, Peter?
I remember Endgame was one of the episodes of Voyager that I saw a chunk of it before I saw the rest of the show.
Oh, neat.
Because of how it worked.
Oh, no. Okay. At least you knew it had an ending, right?
Yeah. So when I finally got around to like watching the entire show in order and got back to Endgame, there wasn't like a hole that was like, oh my gosh, this is surprising. But it is interesting how the first half, like about the first half is all of the future Janeway working to get to the past. And then
Jennifer Gaddy, by the way, sorry.
Nice.
There, satisfied.
And then the second half is, then the second like quarter is them arguing about it. And then the last like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes is the plan actually going through. So yeah, I don't know what that exactly says about it, but it's interesting that that's the structure where a lot of it is focused on the future version of Janeway.
Mm-hmm.
And then they still are interspersing stuff from our present throughout the first bit. So it's not like it's only taking place in the future. Because I think there was an episode that did that where it was like everything was happening from this one point. It was the episode with the Silverbloods where we don't see anybody, and then we see our crew at the very end. It's like, oh, what happened?
Right.
I don't know. Okay, and then we leave.
Okay, well, let's just keep going then. All right, well, that's a drag. Yeah, exactly.
So it's just interesting how we get a whole lot of alternate history of what happens to everybody. Seven dies on the way home. Chakotay dies shortly after they get back to Earth, apparently.
He dies of the Padme disease.
He dies of sadness.
The broken heart.
Yeah, he dies of sadness.
He dies of sadness. Hashtag sad.
Tuvok gets discount bendy syndrome and...
well, but it's not a discount. It's an upgrade because you can fix it. You just have to have your cousin come over and be like, all right.
It's not quite as dangerous because you can fix it.
Yeah, exactly. But you just have your cousin come over and be like, all right, we'll have a couple of beers and then we'll do this thing. Yeah, exactly.
So I thought that there was some interesting stuff there. I thought it was neat how, obviously everyone else gets old man makeup and then the doctor is just the doctor. I thought that was like a good recognition of how that
which I think will be super interesting to see how they address that in Starfleet Academy.
If they address it at all. They should, but we'll see.
They should say he should do like what Data did, because I remember an episode of TNG, it was very late on. It was when we met Finola Flanagan's character as Data's mother, Juliana Taylor, it was revealed that she was, and they were checking around, and they say, and Geordi says, well, she's designed to age just like Data is. And I was like, hold on a second here. That has never, ever been spoken.
Yeah, it's kind of a side comment. And then it's kind of like sort of ignored in Insurrection as well.
Yeah,
when Data says my parameters will be exactly the same as the day I came online as the day I go offline.
Which is not at all true, because it's being played by a real person.
True.
Maybe no one told Data he ages.
Well, he was in the room when that happened. So,
and don't you remember when he grew a beard and he was like, "Look, notice how I stroke my beard thusly?" And it was like, "How did you grow a beard? You just went and got some, replicated it and got some glue, like all theater
taped it on."
Like all the theater kids do. Yeah, exactly.
Just a little bit.
But yeah, it would be interesting to see how you're right. The doctor looks exactly the same. He's just in a different outfit. Everybody else is older.
Harry Kim was promoted to captain.
I know. It was great. And you know what? He's probably the same age that Garrett is now. And we've seen Garrett looks a hell of a lot better than he did in this makeup. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Old age makeup is always the hardest thing to do.
Yeah. And Robbie, too. Robbie is not, because they give Tom Paris like this
massive receding
hairline, like, the massive forehead. They make him the 8 head. And I think it's really kind of unfortunate.
Yeah,
and like I said,
Tannen effect.
Peter and I talked to Robbie and Garrett recently on the Spotlight, which will be coming out in a couple of weeks. There, I finally said it. I've been kind of keeping it secret, and Robbie looks great, and Garrett looks great. They do not look like they look in this episode, and the time would be approximately the same. I remember watching this. Gosh, I was just out of college. It was, a lot of other stuff going on in my life at the time, but I think I had started a new job recently too, but it was, I found this exciting because it was packed with a lot of adventure. Mm-hmm. I think this was, we saw some good Borging in this. Alice Krieg. I think
never found out how to pronounce it.
I think I did read something once. So she's South African, and I think the E is an A. I have no idea. I'd be curious. Drop us a line on socials. I'd love to know. Or Alice Krieg. My God, if you're listening to this, please send us a note. Why would you be listening to this? I have no idea. But it was great to see her. I love the scenes between her and the older Janeway. And again, Kate Mulgrew, who I worship at the altar of Kate Mulgrew. I absolutely love her.
So good.
I thought she was just absolutely great in this. So you're right. Anytime anytime something is time travel, it's going to be a total cluster F. There's always going to be gaping plot holes. How did this happen? Whatever it is. The one comment that we had from our community that I have to agree with, but it's kind of like, be careful what you wish for, because how much would be too much or too little? That was from my friend Kurt Krug, who is he's kind of our entertainment correspondent. He has helped us a lot out with the spotlight, and talks comics with me on our main show from time to time. He said, I felt we should have seen them reunite with their loved ones. Spend the last 10 minutes doing that. Could spend the last 2 minutes doing that. I'm with James on this one.
You could have just to be like, if you wanted to save money, literally all you need to do is reuse that shot from the opening of the episode where the ship is flying through fireworks at San Francisco Bay and land the ship.
Because the ship looks exactly the same. Yeah. I think you're right. I agree with you that was a big miss. Or leaving things open to interpretation. There's a mini series that they're producing right now called Star Trek Homecoming. It's a 5-issue series. There was a book series that again was published in the early 2000s.
I remember the books. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed the heck out of the books. I hate to say I'm not really loving the comic miniseries that much, both from the art and the storyline. It's not terrific, but I did very much like the books. Libby was in the books. So they go. James, call back to your beloved Libby.
That's why I read the books. I wanted to find
it was just Libby. I just knew.
But then
I knew she was there.
Didn't she end up getting nanoprobed or something? The books got weird.
Now I can't remember because the books went on. I mean, they went on for and there was Kristen Bayer that wrote that. Who was responsible for writing Khan. I don't really remember. I remembered that I continued to read them probably as recently as 10 or 15 years ago. But I think the first book was in 02 or 03. It was just a year or so after this episode.
And then there's a long hiatus between.
Yeah.
So those first two were
Christy
Golden.
That is say that again.
The first two were Christy Golden, not Christian Bayer.
Oh, Christy Golden. I think Kristen Bayer got involved.
And then she took over. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. She did.
Yeah. All right. That's the entirety of the block and the entirety of the series. So, James, what we do at the end is we go through and each pick a personal favorite from the block and one we could have done without. So, as our guest, the honor is yours.
Oh boy. It's a fanatic.
And it's Sophie's choice a lot of the times, but sometimes you got to take that swing.
Yeah, I guess you do. My personal favorite out of the block is Renaissance Man. It's so weird.
It's not, that's I say this all the time when people want to be down on this thing and that thing. If it entertains you, a great example is Peter and I just did a bit over on our Star Wars show, Holocron Chronicles, also available on this network, about the infamous Star Wars holiday special, which every Star Wars podcast does that eventually. Yep. But we had a friend of ours, Andy Crocker, who is an Imagineer who lives out in LA, demand to be on this with us because she was so excited about it. And we did our ratings at the end, and I took it straight. I thought, well, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And she's like, if I rate this on the level of my entertainment, it's a 10 because I was entertained. And I'm like, you know what? You've really changed my life. Thank you very much. Shout out to Andy and her crew. She's absolutely awesome.
That's great.
All right. So Renaissance Man is your favorite. How about one you could have done without?
Oh, I'd drop Natural Law, I think, of this block.
Easy. Yeah. Easy pick for me. I'm going to say Natural Law, same thing. It was a dud. The setup to it was stupid, and that while ultimately, in the premise itself was, as Peter was saying, was a little problematic. And I genuinely have love for Endgame. I still do, even though Endgame is my favorite Marvel movie. So that's really the Endgame for me. Thusly, why the episode is called "No, Not That Endgame." But I liked it. They kind of did everything that they could to line things up. It wasn't perfect, but no ending is ever really going to be. So, Peter, what about you? Take us home.
I think for favorite, I will have to go with Endgame, just because there's lots of things about it. I tend to like finales in general. As long as they don't, dork it up horrifically.
Right.
So I thought that this one did it. It was a solid swing, and it wasn't maybe out of the park, but it did a pretty good.
It was probably maybe like a B minus. You know what I mean? It's not in the average category.
Yeah. It was a third base hit.
It was a hell of a lot better than Turnabout Intruder. It was a hell of a lot better than These Are the Voyages. Yeah, it's
exactly.
It's good stuff. Yeah,
it's a good episode, and there's lots of fun stuff going for it.
And we're spoiled. We're trying to compare it to All Good Things, which is the greatest series finale in the history of television. To say nothing of Star Trek. So it had big shoes.
Right.
Yeah. It's good. It's a good.
And then to the episode that I would say could be lost in a wormhole, I'm going to give us a sweep and say Natural Law, because I just did not like that episode very much.
Like I said, the first officer is flying Seven to a conference for absolutely no good reason, and then he runs into the dome from Stephen King.
And it kind of like, and it's kind of trying to do like the sneaky, like, oh yeah, we kind of set up a romance. Let's do another episode where they're by themselves and it can be romantic. No,
we didn't even talk about that in Endgame. That was the Seven Chakotay romance in full bloom. You're right. I think we all blocked it out because we were so grossed out by it.
Prodigy ignores it.
Yeah.
And Picard ignores it. Everyone ignores it.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. It was just like we thought we got to stick Seven with somebody. I feel like that was the dartboard, or it was the Mad Lib. You know what I mean? It's going to throw a dart, and which one of our main characters is going to be Seven's big love interest? And James, you made a great point. Beltran was like, at this point in the show, he just looks very checked out. And they had to toss him something. So.
So we'll give you Jerry Ryan. What could not be love about that?
I'll take it.
Yeah.
But this is the chemistry between Chakotay and Janeway, because that's where actually people cared.
We were all Jay Sears.
No one has ever stopped wanting that, and we got a decent chunk of it, at least, even though it was the Disney Channel version, or
friendship
in Prodigy.
It
was just friendship. Oh, we're friends. Let's have. I can't believe they didn't do a side hug like Friends.
Let's go have some friendship babies now. I mean,
oh gosh, hopefully it won't look like those fish babies she had with Tom. Those poor kids. They're in therapy now because mom and dad just disappeared one day. After getting phasered, they probably think they're dead. But anyway, this is crazy. So this is the end of us talking about doing these little 4-quadrant recaps of a season. So it's wild. So Peter, you saved this show back in 2021, and your first season chunk with me, I think, was season 2 of TOS.
I think we
kind of picked it up from there. So you have done the vast majorities with me, which is really crazy. We're going to move in segment 2. We're going to move into doing some different stuff. Segment 1 will continue to be new content. It will, which will be Starfleet Academy coming up in January. But it'll also go back to being the random episode, which returns in our next episode. I was really hopeful that the Voyager documentary would be out and we could slide into that, but that has not happened. When it does come out, that will definitely show up in segment 2. But we got some other stuff covered. We're going to be talking about some other documentaries, and we're going to start doing some best of, worst of lists. We're going to go through some best of, worst of episodes for certain characters. So we got some.
We may revisit Natural Law.
Well, yeah, if it comes up, yeah. Wouldn't it be horrible if that came up in a random episode? James, the way the random episode works is that the chooser gets a number between 1 and I believe it is 13. So because there's 13 series, right?
Right.
And then they have to roll the dice for whatever number of seasons there are for that show.
Yep.
And then whatever season they get, they have to roll the dice, and it's done virtually, for the number of episodes in that season. And then that's the episode we choose.
Peter and I have a Star Trek watching group on Monday nights that does exactly the same thing. We roll the dice.
Know that.
Yep.
That's so crazy.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. So I know that we already have the next number room chosen, but when we get back around to it, James, you'll get your own pick. But yeah, this has been crazy. So Peter, I'm incredibly grateful for your partnership. James, it was amazing having you on here. You are now part of what I call the Secret Friends Unite stable of artists.
Woo-hoo!
You are in with this show and any one of our other shows that you want to be in. So we'll talk more details about that. But before we do that, I want to get you to talk to me about Starship Excelsior. Tell our audience about what you do.
All right. Well, Starship Excelsior is an audio drama. We're the longest running Star Trek audio drama. We've been in space since 2007. We've produced almost 60 episodes of Star Trek, usually an hour to an hour and a half long. And we tell stories set in the late 24th century after, at the time, it was the end of canon. So we were said, well, what would Star Trek do if it were trying to move forward? So we had this new crew, and we tried to see what Star Trek would do if it would go forward. And now, of course, it's almost becoming an alternate continuity because Star Trek has come back and there's all this new stuff in Picard. But we tell some pretty fun stories, I would like to say. I really like what we did with the Borg. We made them scary again. So you should all find us at starshipexcelsior.com, and maybe you'll like it too. Alas, we do not have the budget of Star Trek Con, but we do have a lot of heart.
I love it. And yes, that link will be in the show notes. Also, please stay tuned after the outro of this episode for a message from Star Trek Enterprise actor John Billingsley talking about the Hollywood Food Coalition and ways that you can help not only this holiday season, but going forward into the future.
I love that, man.
Loved talking to John. Such a great guy.
He's so fun.
That will appear at the end of all of our episodes throughout the holidays. So just as a reminder, and of course we had a YouTube clip that dropped earlier this week, but that's our show. This has been awesome. Again, James, thanks for being here.
It's an honor.
Friends, thanks for listening. I'm going to tell you as always that sharing is caring and to keep on trekking.
Peace and long life.
Oh dear, that's my alarm.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and podcast services around the galaxy, as well as video on our YouTube channel. You can support Secret Friends Unite by becoming a Patreon member, get bonus programs and more over at patreon.com/secretfriendsunite. Join our Discord community for even more discussions on all things geek. For all the latest updates on Secret Friends Unite, make sure to follow us on Threads at secret.friends.unite and visit secretfriendsunite.com. Find our merchandise at TeePublic and Redbubble. Thanks for listening, and may the Force live long and prosper.
Hey, Secret Friends Nation, thanks for sticking around after the credits, or if you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. I am joined by a friend of the show, super great guy who has been on with us many, many times before. This is actor and, dare I say, philanthropist, Mr. John Billingsley, who was the wonderful Dr. Phlox on Star Trek Enterprise, as well as a number of other things. John, it is always awesome to see you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I think you have to be able to write checks with more zeros than I'm comfortable writing to actually be a philanthropist. Do-gooder, I'll take that. How about
do-gooder? Oh boy, it sounds like it should be on the old Batman show. Oh, do-gooder fighting the Joker. Yeah. Well, John, I wanted to slide you in here because, you know, we got some crazy stuff going on in the country these days. We're just getting off a government shutdown where SNAP benefits were pinched. We're also getting into the holiday season, Thanksgiving and Christmas in this case, where things can traditionally get tight for a lot of people. So I wanted to have you on to talk a little bit about the great work that you do with the Hollywood Food Coalition out there in Greater Los Angeles and how people can help.
Terrific. Well, I'll tell you a bit about the Hollywood Food Coalition, and this will be bifurcated because I've always been a great believer that while I work for and represent a charity that I have great faith in and believe does wonderful things, it's just as important, maybe even more important, to think about if you have the impulse to give to us, but you think, maybe I should look closer to home. Fine, do that. I will say that hunger and need and want in this country is sadly only getting worse. 1 in 5 kids in America is food insecure. Some 40% of Americans, if they were hit with an unexpected $400 to $500 bill, their roof caves in, their car is repossessed, wouldn't have the money in the bank account to pay it. There are a limited number of soup kitchens and food rescue organizations in the country. We do something that is very dear to my heart at the Hollywood Food Coalition. We serve a hot meal to all comers 7 nights a week, no questions asked, always providing choice, always providing dignity of service. And we also offer an array of other services to people who come through our doors. We try and, in essence, sort of provide a kind of a soup to nuts experience. If you want your bicycle tire repair, we've got medical vans. If you want some housing assistance, if you want some kind of referrals to other social service agencies, we very much believe in coalition building through the medium of food. And additionally, we rescue somewhere around 2.5 to 3 million pounds of food a year to share with other not-for-profits, basically to augment and buttress their meal programs. So think about a battered women's shelter that does great work, but may not provide 3 squares a day. Right. We're trying to say, small not-for-profits doing great work, tell us what we can do to help make sure you're feeding the people who come to you for service as best you can. And additionally, every Sunday, we have a wonderful program that we have created with a lot of marvelous people in the community, families, church groups, and schools, We have dropped off at our premises, in essence, every Sunday, somewhere around 3,000 bag lunches. And we make sure those lunches get distributed through some of our community partners all over the city, primarily to people living in homeless encampments. Just a slice of what we do at the Hollywood Food Coalition.
That's fantastic. And so if people want to donate, if they're local and they want to get involved, or if they're not local like myself, I live on the other side of the country, how can they help? Where do they go? Where do they go online to provide assistance?
Easiest thing to do is to go to hofoco.org. Go to our website, and you can, if you live in Los Angeles and you'd be interested in getting involved, you can sign up to cook, you can sign up to serve, you can sign up to pull a shift in our warehouse space and help unload the food that arrives, sort it, cull it, store it, and get it out the door to some of the recipient organizations. And on Sunday, you can help our sandwich distribution program. And you can also donate there at our donation platform. But I also really want to encourage you to consider it, although I think, in a way, where you choose to give $1, it's not so much about the geography, because $1 you give in Portland or Seattle or Los Angeles is still helping people. Right. So if this is an organization, the mission appeals to you, you are helping some wonderful people in need. But if you feel you want to work locally, I would only say look around and see what's in your neighborhood, what's in your city, what's in your community, an organization that is working on the ground with people in need. And that could be folks who are experiencing hunger. It could be folks who need legal assistance these days. That's obviously something that's pretty important. It could be teaching a kid to read. There's a lot of ways you can give back to your community. This happens to be mine. I'm very passionate about it. But in the holiday season, it's mostly about rolling up your sleeves.
Right. That's fantastic. And as I said, I promised a quick message. So this has been fantastic, Con. It's great to see you. Hofoco.org. That's HOFO. Oh, I just lost it.
You got it. HOFOCO, Hollywood Food Coalition. Hofoco. And it's
ho. Oh. All right, John, I will see you in the near future. Happy holidays to all, and thanks for spending this extra time listening.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
So much. Appreciate it.